Hi, my name is Sally Barnard, an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer. Welcome to Call Me Zena, a true story into the spiritual realms. Join me as I sit and discuss the journey of self-discovery, and with the help of my spirit guides, it's time to trust your intuition. Sit with me and call in live, 888-994-4995, Studio A. And now onto the show.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Call Me Zena. Today, we're diving into the intriguing realm of synchronicity and coincidence. These are events that have mere happiness, never can pronounce that word, of messages. They're from the universe. It's up to us to decipher whether it's coincidence or synchronicity. Coincidence is an occurrence of events without casual connections. It's the random alignment of people, places, and things. But synchronicity is different. Synchronicity is the meaning coming from an inner and outer experience. It is the intersection of our deepest desires, fear, and aspirations with the external world. Synchronicity speaks to our soul's journey, guiding us towards the growth of transformation. Think of coincidence as a superficial encounter, whereas synchronicity is a profound connection. Coincidence is seeing a familiar face in the crowd. Synchronicity is meeting a kindred spirit that can change your life. Very big difference there. It's up to us to decipher that. It's an inner feeling that we will feel. I've had it many times, especially over the last few years. It's when you experience that something is feeling a little different, go with that, your gut. Here's the key distinction. Coincidence lacks context, while synchronicity is rich in meaning. Coincidence is static. Synchronicity is dynamite, unfolding into all these new possibilities. Consider this. If you keep seeing repeated numbers, which many of you do, and many people ask me the meaning of this, I see 1111 many, many times. It got me kind of started on my journey. Is it mere coincidence, or the universe is nudging to wake us up into an inner rhythm? If you stumble upon a book which is life-changing message, is it chance or synchronicity? Food for thought. The next time you experience a coincidence, ask yourself, is this an event aligned with my values, desires, or fears? Does it resonate deeply, sparkling insight and inspiration? Does it feel like a nudge towards growth or transformation? If you answer yes, you might be experiencing synchronicity. The universe's whispers guidance. Listen and uncover the hidden patterns weaving into our life's tapestry. Thank you all for joining this journey with me into the realm of synchronicity. Remember, the universe speaks to us in whispers. Are you listening? Now let's go on with the show. I have some great guests here. I have Dawn, I have Jay, and I have Freddie. So here we go. Please call in. The number is 888-994-4995, and I look forward to hearing from you. Don't be shy. I've had a few people text or email me to say that they don't like to or wouldn't call in, but can they speak to me privately? My answer is just call in and ask me the question. You're on the air. They don't have to know who you are, but I look forward to hearing from you. So pick up that phone and ask me a question. Thank you.
Excellent. Now, I wanted to ask you two questions. The first one is, I see you have your book.
Yes.
Does your book have anything to do with today's subject?
Well, yes, it does. And that's a good question, Freddie, because I only am as good as the question, and I've said that many times. So it's all kind of coming to me through myself, through guides. This book actually is about my art and what happened to me and how I began to paint. And a lot of that has a lot to do with the beginning of my journey. I could not, after a while, and I love that question because we had actually talked about that before, to say what happened to me was coincidental. Yes, one or two things could be, but basically overall, how was I able to get a message to tell me to start to paint, having never painted, and I started to paint? Could that have been coincidence the moment I got the message? Or, as my book will tell you, how Aldo came up to me and, not knowing anything about this, proceeded to tell me what my dream had been the night before. I had no idea where I had gone, but here he's telling me. Could that be coincidence? I don't think so. It was synchronicity. So that was a perfect opening. Thank you so much for that question.
And the second question is, I was going to ask, does one lead into another? And I think you just described that. So that if you think it's a coincidence, it ends up being not a coincidence. It's something to learn or to, how do you decipher one or the other?
Again, well, you would be asking me good questions, but that is a good question because I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, sometimes I might be able to predict something. So I could overlook, first of all, something that I might think is a mere coincidence. But if it's synchronicity, and I not necessarily mention that there, but they will continue. Because if I overlook something and say, oh, well, that I could say it was strange and not really realize the significance of it. But if I gain, and it happened very much because it was my birthday weekend here, I had a lot of things that there was, because I'm aware of the synchronicity, that I could not say to you that was coincidence because the proof, it's like they prove it to me without giving examples. It's a feeling because it couldn't keep happening. Let's say a particular thing we're talking about and I mention something or a song on the radio comes on that same second. For instance, an example is, as my viewers know, I lost my daughter a couple of years ago and her name was Caroline, and I felt very much, well, my birthday's the 11th. My daughter always said to me, I was born at midnight, your birthday is the 12th. I mean, that's just something that she does. Now, Sydney's going to call me her daughter on the 12th. So I'm telling Steve in the car, because we actually went out for dinner on the 11th and the 12th, this would be a great time for her to tell me on the 12th that she was there. I felt her presence, and Sweet Caroline comes on the radio. Could that be coincidence? Yes, it could, but it happens too much. I truly believe that was her way of telling me that she was around and wishing me a happy birthday on the 12th. It didn't come on the 11th. So we all have these things, but the most important thing is to be aware. Just listen to what I'm saying now to tell you in your mind, because people have said that to me. We listened to your show and this happened. If my message gives you just that for today, listen. And they're really, really trying to speak to us.
You actually have a phone call.
Oh, I have a phone call. Okay, so we're going to take a phone call. Hello, caller.
See if I put it through.
Hello.
Caller, are you there?
We can come back, maybe. No.
Can you hear me?
Oh,
Yes,
hi. Hello. Who am I speaking with?
Hi, this is Erica.
Oh, Erica. Hi. How nice to hear. We were just discussing
Hi.
a show that we did together the other day. How nice of you to call in. Okay, your question.
Oh, I've been looking forward to it.
Okay, what is your question, Erica?
So for me, I am somebody who has a lot of different passions, as we mentioned, and I find myself struggling to know where to put my time and energy. And I feel as though I schedule too much on my plate and I have all of these things I want to do, and I experience the feeling of being overwhelmed very often.
Okay.
And I'm looking for some guidance around where I should be putting my time and my energy, and how I can help myself to feel more balanced when there's decisions to be made around where to put my time.
Well, first of all, I just want to tell you, and we had discussed this a little earlier, your energy, you have a very high energy, which is great, because I believe that it's easier for us to hear. Spirits talk to me through my channeling, but the best way to describe this, and I want to answer your question this way, because you're more than capable of doing this, because your energy, and we had talked about that on the show, is high. So they come
Yes.
down to meet us. So my answer to the question, first of all, take time. Sometimes you're running around a lot, and I know that, to go inward. And if it's through meditation, if it's just listening to that little voice in your head, they're trying very hard, as far as I can hear, to give you messages, because you're capable of listening to those messages. So my answer would be, take time out, meditate. They'll come to you in a dream, and listen to that little inner voice that you have. And I know you know what I'm talking about from our discussion on the show. Absolutely.
Yes.
I know you know that. We had a lot that, we will talk more about what we were discussing a little in private. But you have the energy, you have the capability. Right now, they're telling me to tell you, take time and smell the roses. Does that make any sense to you? So take time
Yes.
out, just a little bit of time out, and make like even a list of your priorities of what you need to do. One is definitely, please, take note of your dreams. I'm even wanting to tell you is put up, we don't always remember our dreams. My whole thing started with a dream, and I do remember them because I believe some dreams, not all my dreams, are very real. Get a little paper and pencil beside your bedside, because they're trying, but you're so busy during the day that the time that they are going to come to you is at night. This is coming through so strongly for you, okay? So people used to say, because I started to astral project, and I said, well, with going all over the place, I'm not going to take time out to write what was happening to me. However, I did. And a lot of that is in this book, because I was going to some very different places. And I had to document it. I'm going to give you the same advice, because I believe that this is happening to you. I believe that you know about this. You may even subconsciously know about it. But continue to listen to yourself and inwardly, turn inward, meditate, however you want to do that. I did it through my art. I didn't go in, right now I'm meditating, but in a different way, because they're speaking through me. And write down your dreams. I think that's very important, because they can get you in your dreams and they're trying to contact you. I hope that helped you.
Thank you. Yes, it does. I appreciate you so much.
You're welcome. Do you have any questions at all on what I just said, or just...
Oh, I think what you're saying to me is just listen to what I'm already feeling intuitively. And I think the way I brush it off is it's an annoying, like, little chatter in my head that
Right.
I just don't want to listen to, but I'm now very aware that it is there.
Oh, I'm so
and I've
glad.
just been ignoring it.
No, and the message is very strongly for you. They are connecting with you. Now it's up to you. They're telling me to connect with them, if that makes sense to you, okay? Do
Yeah.
that, and I think you're going
Yeah.
to be very pleasantly surprised. It's going to lead you into a lot of actually different directions. Get back to me later in a week or 2 or 3
Okay.
weeks and let me know, okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And there you have it.
There we go. Any more questions in the studio, or Freddie, Dawn, Jay?
Well, as we've talked about several times, my feeling on coincidence is there is no coincidence.
Right.
I think that everything happens for a purpose. Throughout the universe, I don't care who it is, what it is, when it is, everything happens for a purpose. So coincidence is not real.
And when you start to see, I'm going to say see that, because you don't even have to believe it. If you have an open mind, and that's the most important, to have an open mind, you're going to see, it happens to each and every one of us all day long.
Yeah, some people just don't see it.
They don't see it because they're not always ready.
Right.
But you opening up to me the way that you did, even from the very beginning, because we've become friends through the studio and our show that we do together, that you're beginning to open up to that. And you're going to be so surprised, Jay, to see, now when something happens, even with your artwork,
Oh, yeah.
it's not coincidence
No.
that you're painting the way that you are right now.
It's not. It's, it's spirit-led.
Exactly.
And I know that.
And you know, we've had a little validation between the two of us with the past life experience, that here in black and white was the name of the person. To just do this very briefly, if you don't mind, that I said to you in a past life with this person's name. I had no idea who it was. But I sometimes get my validation by going into Google. So I said, let's Google him. What was the first thing we saw? You are a pencil artist. This gentleman on Google who had passed before you were born was a pencil artist. Having said that, we don't always carry over what we just do, but that was the validation for you to say, well, maybe there is something, because you are beginning to open up.
But like I was saying, I don't feel it was coincidence
Right.
that happened. It could have been
That's
just carrying over.
exactly, and that's how it happens. I mean, it was just, I'm going to say, was it luck that I just came out with that name and that you happened to have, he was an artist?
Yeah.
No. It happens. We just need to open our eyes to it. And then having said that, having spoken to Erica just now, and the message was very much for her to go inward, because, but I can't tell everybody, I can say on the show, do what I just said for Erica, because you'll find that you're going to get more and more and more things falling, what I would say, into place on this journey. It's a learning journey.
Right.
Thank you, Jay.
Because, you know, how many times have we come to the show together and our outfits
Clothing,
match?
absolutely, yes.
And it was, we didn't plan
no,
this.
no, that's right.
And I have created pictures before of Dawn that we didn't even know was Dawn, that she had photographs of the same thing that I created, the artwork.
Welcome to my world.
It's just out there.
Right,
I mean,
it
it's
is,
not, you know,
yes.
it's not coincidence. Everything has a purpose.
This is a beautiful topic today. I love that, because people just wake up and see what's around you. I mean, I have prose in here, and I'm sure if I open the book right now to read something else, but I won't right now, will be about what we're just talking about. I have no idea what page it's on, but I'm sure that I have something written in there. Okay, so
my other take, now that I hear Erica's question, a lot of people will always say, like to Jay, well, that was a strange coincidence. And then if it happens enough times and the message is trying to be delivered, it's up to you yourself to answer that. So if people want to call in here and ask you the same thing that Erica was asking, looking for a path, looking for
Right.
an explanation, how many times does it take before exactly what Jay's example was, that it happens over and over, and you come to the realization that maybe you have to make the call as to whether or not
you do,
it's...
Freddie.
Yeah.
And I started my journey. I will say, and I relate to very much for people not always opening their mind, because it took me a long time, and I had many, again in my book, it's just that we're talking about what has happened in my book, that I was having so many situations that I thought, well, that maybe I said to myself, that's strange, but it took a lot later in my life to finally, I could not ignore it. I became an artist overnight. I had someone coming into my dream, meeting me and saying they'd been looking for me. I would have laughed my head off if I wasn't open-minded. And I think if nothing else about this show is to I can't make anybody do anything, but to become aware that your surroundings, the people that you meet, are not just mere coincidences. You know, you could have a conversation, even as simple as, I was just thinking about that. You're on the same wavelength. How many times, and this is a very good example, I was just about to call you, or I was just about to text you.
Yeah.
Yes, can that be a coincidence? Absolutely. But when you become aware of this, and the next maybe message that they're going to give you is so relevant to what you've just been
But it
talking
could be
about.
that you're on the same wavelength with them,
Well-
and you were going to communicate that, and you just picked up on that.
You pick up, it's actually all about energy. And it's not something that I'm just saying now. When someone is depressed, we're lowering our vibrational energy. So it carries on both ways. You may have, and we've seen it happen many times here when the show is on, or we were just talking about something and somebody comes in and has the same type of different situation, but a similar story. Excuse me. So it's all about keeping a vibrational energy that is going to be higher, and actually, I'm not saying it's going to draw more people in, but you're going to recognize it more. So the signs are all
Yeah.
around us. The
Yeah.
people coming into the cafe are here.
Right, and I think if you become open-minded and you allow yourself to not be so inhibited all
Right.
the time in what you're thinking, oh, I can't think that, I can't do
Exactly.
that, I can't, I think if you open your mind, you will be more aware of many things that's
Many,
going on.
many things. And again, I'm just, it's not just here. I say follow your passion. That's very, very meaningful to me. Because for years, I started off, I wanted to be an actress. At the age of 17, 18, I let people talk me out of that. So follow your passion, and all this will fit in, because whatever your passion is will lead you to the right place. I know it's happened to me in my life, especially being here, and I've said this too. I say if I knew now what I knew younger, I would have done this. But again, there's something else to say about that. This was my timing. I came into the studio just to talk about what actually happened to me, because I feel very much at home here. I was given a message by someone 2 years prior to I met you guys. I didn't come here. They said they will love your art. I never showed up. It took somebody else that I knew to tell me, Sally, go to the Brooklyn Cafe and go and just talk to them. I listened that time because I was more open. And it's led me to an amazing journey here. Am I alone with this journey that is happening to me? No. Each and every one of us can do this. So my message is, go ahead and do your passion. Listen to what people see. Keep an open mind, and you'll be very surprised.
Do you want to take a commercial break?
Yes, we can. I'll see you back on the other side of this, and I always say on the other side of this show in a few minutes. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. My story starts at 4 or 5 years old. My name is Sally Barnard, and I was born at the end of the Second World War, in the middle of an air raid siren going off. My parents were in a movie theater, and my mother went into labor. My father ran out of the movie theater, but there was no cabs to be available because everybody is running for cover. However, they found one, and the taxi driver was given the address to take my father and my mother to the hospital. As my mother was in labor, about a half an hour, I arrived at exactly midnight. I think I was fed messages at a very early age. My parents used to like to play cards, and they had a card game every Wednesday or Thursday night at home when I was a baby. And I actually said to them one day, why do you keep waking me up at night? The card game is waking me up, and I can't get back to sleep so quickly. And they looked at each other and they said, we're not really waking her up. They were quite away from my bedroom. And they called in a psychic to say, what in the world is going on? And the psychic said that I'm getting many messages that are waking me up at night. I thought whatever I was experiencing, other people were experiencing too. You don't know until you realize that you are different. Many things were happening to me, things that were unexplainable to me. What I had dreamt was happening. I could sense many things, and the things that I was sensing were coming about, but something was going on. I will explain to you everything. You're ready.
A true story, Call Me Zena, is the telling of Sally Barnard. Born in London, England at the end of the Second World War, she came into the U.S. in 1979. A mother of 2 and a grandmother of 4, she settled in Florida and worked in real estate. While going through a difficult time in her life, she was admitted into a hospital overnight in December of 2005. While settling back into her life, she began having vivid dreams and documenting them. By the third dream, a lady gave her a message to draw. With no artistic background or interest into art or history, Sally listened to her dreams and grabbed a paper and crayons. Today, she has over 150 pieces of inspiring art and poetry. This book follows her journey and interpretations of these messages. She describes in detail how she is able to astral a project and who she has met along her travels, including her spirit guides. This book will show you how anything is possible with an open mind. These events have changed Sally's life and direction, and this book will show you how to change yours. Purchase Call Me Zena on Amazon today, authorhouse.com and amazon.com.
Thank you for joining me through this journey of self-discovery with the help of my spirit guides. I'm Sally Barnard, and you can find my book at authorhouse and amazon.com or visit my art on my clothing in my boutique at artbysallybarnard.com. Now back to the show. And if you were listening to that commercial, my art on clothing is coming out in about a month's time. I'm even putting it on shoes. I'm going to do a grand opening, which we will do right here on the show, and my art will be ready to be seen on a website. I have some now, but this is going to be amazing. I already had a...
Put your clothes on, your art on clothes before?
I did a little bit of it, but then unfortunately through situations, I was flying backwards and forwards at that time, and I really wasn't the right timing because my daughter wasn't well at that time. But I've left it now for 2 years. I just did it for a couple of months, and people loved it, but I have newer art now, and I think we were waiting for this type of art on my clothing, and I'm getting a really good response. So my book is my story from the beginning of how this happened, and my art's going to be out. I have some art in the book too. But if you want to wait a couple of weeks when my website comes out, the book is available now. My art on clothing will be right there, which will advertise.
How do you get the book?
You can go to Amazon or Author House. The QR code is in the corner of this picture right now, and it'll take you right to my book. You can buy a paperback, or you can actually even buy, I think it's called the ebook. Oh my God, I'm showing my age. I should know by now it's an ebook. And I'm not that you don't have to buy this book, but the art will show up much better that I have done in the book itself. But that's entirely up to you. But go ahead, and I would love when you have read my book. I'm here to answer questions. I remember everything that had happened to me. I documented my dreams in here. So if you feel free you're free to ask me the questions on this show or email me, I'd be happy to answer some of the questions. My journey in the beginning is all here in the book.
Sally, did your daughter have a favorite piece of your artwork?
Yes, but she was very quiet in telling me these things. Sydney might know more, but I know you had mentioned the daisies, though I haven't done much, but Sydney validates it for me. So yes, I'm sure she did, but she wasn't that vocal about what I was doing at that point, yes. But Sydney, actually, her daughter knows a little more than what she would actually mention to me. Was there a reason? Were you seeing something?
Just a big red flower.
Okay, so it's related. Well, she loved flowers. In fact, and that's, oh my gosh, this is not coincidence. Oh my gosh, it's actually on my phone. Her last text to me was on her birthday. I sent her red roses and flowers, and I've kept that text. And she was saying to me how beautiful the text was and how much she loved me. It was a flower. So now it took that for me. I have it still on my texts. So yes, that is very meaningful, very meaningful.
So
I sent her
that's the
red
message.
roses, actually.
Okay.
She
there
said
you
the
go.
roses were beautiful. It made her day. And she was already, not well at the time, and looking forward to seeing me. So that is going to bring tears to my eyes.
Sorry.
Natural. No, that's fine. It's validation for me. As I had just said, her name was Caroline, and the music came on. But that's just part of, we have loved ones on the other side, be it a near relative, a friend, whatever, whoever it is. They all do try to contact us if they can. That's actually another show. I learned this from Aldo. We're not that different than we are sitting here right now. If we know, I'm not going to say, we all know it, but if we remember more, we can openly talk about it here. When you reach what I'm going to call the other side of the veil, I'm not talking about where we go after that. I can't discuss that, and I won't, but I've had a lot of validation of the people that have come to me, especially Aldo, Adamir in my book, who was on a higher dimensional energy. And they can come to us easier than someone that did not know that much here. So if you raise your energy, you will get a message, as I do from Aldo. And I truly believe, I mean, I have no proof of this, that Aldo is telling, my daughter understood a lot. She just didn't talk to me about it. So I won't use her as an example because I think she can come to me. But some of my friends who have passed, who are not aware of this now, I believe we have helpers, and Aldo was, because I once went to a psychic, and the psychic said he has a very, what I call higher energy, which is a higher dimension, can help that person or come to me to give me the message. So keep an open mind. I do believe in sleep that you hear from people because our minds are not as cluttered as they were. Little things, one of my guides is White Feather, which I found out in the beginning of my journey, and he came to me very strongly. I'm English and did not know too much about the Hopi Indians. He made me understand a lot about the Hopi Indians. I would find feathers all over the place. I would get into my car. Steve has a story. I'm talking to him, and he probably in the beginning said, what am I getting involved with? Steve is my husband. We're standing. He's not here to validate this, but as he will do. I'm standing in my bedroom. We had not known each other that long. And a white feather flew into his hand. Was it from the sky? It was in the bedroom. And that helped him understand a little bit of where I was coming through from right in the very beginning. I'm not special. I'll say that all the time. It can happen to each and every one of us.
Are there different places that you might resonate more? Like I felt much more comfortable in being in D.C. than I felt in New York, but yet I'm in this lifetime, from New York.
Yes.
But D.C. seemed to sit better with me.
Yes, I do
Why
believe
would
that
that be?
too, because it's remnants from another lifetime or even the land. And we leave imprints, Dawn, and those imprints, when we go back, if we're in another life and we revisit, it'll trigger off certain memories. So if you say that you resonate more in Washington, and I mean, I'm not sure of your lifetime there, my feeling would be that you were more in Washington, and then this could be your last life, although I believe we were in France together too. But that we've had many, many lives, so they run into each other. So the feelings that you get when you feel a place, just the same as a person. You can feel very drawn to a person when you don't even know them. And then on the flip side of that, you could be angry with someone and don't even know why, right? So it's feelings that we are blessed to be able to interpret that. We just don't know that we can. So when you start remembering, yes, and from what you told me, you were more in Washington than you were in New York. It doesn't mean that we land in the same place here that we were in our last or previous lifetime, but we will be drawn to a certain place, yes. I was always drawn to come to America. From a child, I knew I needed to be in this country.
But it's funny because one of the museums I went to, there were pieces of different lifetimes through the museum. And I'd go to one room and I sent you a picture of one room. Then I went to another room and I sent you a picture of another room. And it was all of these things coming together that it was all this validation of coincidence and how I even ended up there.
Exactly. So because we're aware of it, and especially as we're talking on the show about it now, it all fits into place. I mean, I have to give this because it was in Washington. I went a few years ago, I went by myself to Washington. There was a hurricane coming here. I had a dog. I had Aldo to look after my dog. And I got the last seat on the last train that was going out of here before this hurricane in Boca. It was not a nice one. And I end up in Washington. I end up walking to, I've told this story before, but it's worth repeating. I don't know Washington. I'm walking from the hotel to the art museum. I stand, and she listens to my shows sometimes. I'm crossing a road, and we're waiting for the lights to turn. And I said to this girl, she probably maybe a little younger than me, where is the Museum of Art, or whatever one I was visiting? She said, follow me. And we're 10 minutes from there. I'm going there. So I said, okay. And we ended up chatting together. She said, I'm meeting some friends. We're going to take a tour. I said, okay. She said, would you like to join us? So I said, sure, why not? But first of all, we were going to have lunch. So she said, you know, I'd sooner sit just with you, because I was telling her and opening up a little bit about my story of what had happened, than listen to all the ladies that I'm meant to be meeting to have lunch. But I said to her, no, let's all sit together at the table. Now, I've never met this girl before. I met her crossing a road, and a busy road. We're sitting down, and I'm not listening to her conversation with the lady opposite her. I'm listening to the lady talking to me here. And she said, Sally, oh my gosh, you have to listen to this. What had happened is that she had just moved, and if she's listening, she'll tell you this. The lady, and she knew no one, the lady across to her, which she didn't know, it was part of a group to take a tour, was her next door neighbor on the street that she was.
Wow.
Now, how in the world could that be coincidence? On a busy street, I'm at a traffic light, first of all, just meeting someone that was walking to the museum. And then to tell her, let's go to that table and talk to them, where she was planning on going, but she found my life more interesting. I knew she had to be there. And sitting opposite her. I mean, I have a lot of stories, and a lot are in
You've
here.
got a lot of stories
but
in your
that's
book.
pretty incredible.
So the more of going with your gut and feeling what you feel, because there were reasons I chose that museum. I don't know why. It was just a sense of that's where we should go for the day. And it was magnificent. But certain
Maybe
things
this was the one. This was which one in Washington? Because I had the last tour one time of who I was in a previous life with the paintings.
Same
Was this
museum.
Yes. And I don't often mention who I was, but I've had a lot of validation, and you know who I was, and everyone's going to say, why isn't she telling us? But this person that I was is someone in history. And the art in the Renaissance, we can go as far as that. There was one tour left, because it was later in the day. And sure enough, it was the tour about who I had been in a previous life. I mean, this is like I'm making this up, but I'm not. This actually happened. So I have to spread this message to people. Please, please know that I am not unique. And many psychics will tell you that. Please listen. You will hear, you will be directed to the right places at the right time, and you'll see. And let me know some of the answers if you call into my show, and it happens within the next few weeks to anybody.
But
Please
is there
call
more
in.
to it, Sally? You know, you may learn who your past life is. You may resonate with one location or some people over another in this lifetime. But what does that all mean?
Okay, that's a lovely question too. That's a great question. It means, first of all, we're not alone. When we're here and we're sitting, it doesn't matter if you're sitting in a room by yourself. Just know that there are people around you. People are listening to you. You may not be able to see them, but that's okay. Follow your dreams. You have helpers. Absolutely. I didn't know about a guide and an apprentice that he was telling to look after me. Have it in here. I had no idea. But I'm being told that my main guide is giving someone over an apprentice he had an apprentice who had a very similar lifetime to me that was helping me on this life. I thought I was going crazy. And I mentioned to Adamir, who is in my book, who is Aldo, how does this happen? No, it's true. You have someone who is your guide who had a very similar life to you. I thought I was going crazy. Anybody would if they didn't understand it. So I had no choice. I had to begin to understand this. Too much was happening to me. And today I'm a big believer that what I'm talking about is very real to me. I can't make anyone believe it if they don't want to, but I can only follow by, if you take, by example. I can teach by example. That's the word I'm looking for. And so listen to me. Don't have to believe it, but just see what happens.
So I have a question. What do my guides say to you? We've got a lot balancing between emails and events and new crew and things that we need to do here. How can I balance all of this and actually get it done and be happy about it, not just always stressed out, I got things to do?
Well, it's a very similar question to who Erica, our last caller, called up. And I think I've said this to you before. Take time and smell the roses. You can only achieve so much in one day, Dawn. So actually, and I'm not good at doing this too, but put it down on paper and the word I don't usually use, prioritize. That's what they're telling me, because I was not good at that. But prioritize. See, go with your gut and say, this definitely needs to be taken care of today. And if you're not doing it, and I'll go as far as to say, no, you don't feel comfortable, although realistically maybe you should be doing that. That's not maybe what you're meant to do, because you go with your gut. Your mind might tell you prioritize that, but you have to go one step further. Step back, smell the roses, say, does this feel good? I think that's important. Ultimately, the choice is still up to you. It's how you interpret that choice. Very important, that, because our mind is here, wants us to survive. I mean, this sounds strange, and for people that are not necessarily following me and hearing me for the first time, but our mind is telling us what they think that we need, what it thinks we need. But there is something else other than just our mind that we can't see that is also giving us messages, if that helps. So prioritize. Important. Think about that.
Accomplishments are a measurement of finishing something. The added ingredient is that you want it to be the best of the best. There are certain things that we can control that we're good at, some things that we're great at. And I think that when you have so many different things that you have to accomplish, you begin to question whether or not you're going to accomplish these things at that high pitch. And I try to tell Dawn, there's a lot of things that have to be done. But think about the message. You have a lot of things to do. You have a lot of opportunities coming your way. It isn't time to panic. It's time to do as many as you can.
Because as they say, there's only 24 hours in a day.
Can't do more than that.
What do you want to do within those 24 hours? Part of that's sleeping. But even then you're given the answers too, which I had just mentioned. You can only do so much. That's why prioritizing is very important. I was not good at doing that. I can't do a whole lot of things at once either, but make that little list of what you feel that you need to do that day, and you'll be surprised how much it will fall into place and know that you made the right choice.
Well, I told her we're going to do them all. And,
yes.
But the way we're going to go about it, you may not see it today, but it may be here tomorrow.
Little by little, and that's what Alda used to say to me all the time too. You will achieve it, but it doesn't have to be done within the first 24 hours. Let's say 12, because we do need time to rest. But it will be done. If you crowd your mind with a whole lot of things, none of this is going to be accomplished. You've got to put your mindset into what you feel deep down is the first important thing to do. Having said that, I truly believe, and you'll tell me if you do this, that the next one will fall into place. Because when you're correcting and following the passion that you have to do all these things, it will slowly fall into place, the next step and the next step. But it's not, we have time here. They don't have time on this. There's no such thing as time. But little by little, you will accomplish everything. I'm going to say as far as you will accomplish everything that you were meant to do. Maybe not everything, but think about that. Maybe that other thing that you don't accomplish might not be maybe correct. It may or may not be, but think about that last thing or the ones nearer the end, and they may be very important. I don't know. But maybe give them a little more thought if they're near the end. That's just coming to me. It may not make sense, but I needed to throw that out, whatever that is, how you have, not the person or you or Freddie or me or somebody telling you what you're prioritizing. Everybody, this applies to everyone, what you feel is important. We need to have the messages from somebody, and that's great, but ultimately the decision is still up to us.
Got to make those decisions.
Opportunity is a decision, and the only reason that all of them have come about is because you put a lot of hard work into looking at them and having them come to fruition. And you know, the game is really simple. Now you just have to finish it.
Because it has to start somewhere, Freddie, right?
I'd rather have more to do than less.
Yes.
I'd rather have something to do than to sit and ponder why not.
And I mean, they're really helping me with this because it's movement. Because if you're stagnant and you start thinking, oh, I can't do that today, or I can't do that, why is this all being thrown at me? It's being thrown at you for a reason. Now it's up to us, as I had just said, to put each one in its place. But the fact that it's being thrown at you is the reason that you're meant to be doing it. But because we're here and we're human and we feel we can probably do a lot. It's better to think that we can't and then see what happens, step by step.
Is Step by
Now,
step.
this is not Sally. Sally would not be talking, or Zena, okay? Well, maybe Zena.
All right,
but
so
not
what else do
Sally.
the guides have to say? Elizabeth, I guess she was at the museum with me as well.
Yes, she was. And I think we looked at some of the similar paintings that I had looked when I was there many years ago, actually. Because again, as we had mentioned, and I don't always remember my show, but I do remembering that this isn't coincidental that you went there, the timing that you went. You were there with your daughter. Did she have somebody else while she was meeting somebody? I mean, I know you were with family. Okay.
I don't think so.
All right. But it was good quality time with her. I feel that because you both had something in common and they knew that. So whatever paintings that you were looking at, I think you had a communication there with, because I believe you're in another lifetime. Yes, as I have often said, we are with our family that you shared that was very much to do with some of this, coming to me very strong now, to do with some of the paintings that you were looking at. You may not have even realized it, but look back on some of you sent me some. You shared that with her. I don't know if you were mother and daughter, or it could have even been the other way around, but you had absolutely a sharing of those experiences together in another lifetime.
Thank you.
Perhaps what was on the painting. That's what I needed to say. It was on, oh my goodness me, it was on the painting.
And I was walking through the gallery. She said, "How do you know that painting?" I said,
Mm.
"You know what? I took art history." She said, "You what?"
She didn't know.
She said, "I didn't know that." I said, "I hadn't thought about it probably in 35 years that I actually took art history in school until I saw all these pictures." So it's like there was a reason. I know there was a reason. I
Yeah,
was there
that's why this
in there.
message, I think, is coming to be, because yes, there was, and you were open enough to understand that. So me saying this is a form of validation for you. Yes, absolutely. Everything that you thought you had seen or had been there on the ones that meant, not every painting,
Right.
but on the ones that had a deeper meaning to you. Yes, absolutely.
It's interesting. Wait till you find yourself on the baseball field on Thursday.
Like I said, everything that's been put out will get accomplished. And there's no solution that's needed right now. The solutions are needed on day of. So I'm not worried about it. It will happen. It's like when I met Jay, and he's done so many things with us, and some of the things that he's learned. And the journey has been, from beginning to end, has been a different life right now for you.
Absolutely.
And I knew your wife, and I knew the life, what you meant to her in her life, and everything else. And to see where we are now, it's just another chapter to that book.
It is. It's a chapter that I think that I'm following now that I hadn't even thought about. And it was just where I am going now is like almost like the sequel to my life before. This is like the part 2, and this is what I'm doing now. And if I was really interested in that, I think I would really be willing to invest in part 2, because it's getting better all the time. So
Well, I believe the opportunities are thrown at you because they're able to put situations and circumstances into
now
our
I
path.
understand that.
That's
now
right.
situations that come, in fact, I ask for opportunities, and I get them, and so that's why all the time
And-
now.
It's as honestly as simple as that. It sounds ridiculous. Ask, which you did.
Right.
And, even if you're talking to yourself when you're asking, which you probably are, just sit back and see what happens. You have to make some movement. And like, if someone's going to walk into my house right now, this is who I want to meet? No. But if you go outside of that door,
Right.
you'll have the opportunity. We all have it. We just don't know we do. You're
Right.
a good example, Jay. Even us meeting and being on a show together on a Friday.
Oh, everything, yeah.
Everything is a continual journey. We continue the journey, not just now, but into other lifetimes too. It's important. And even if you're sitting there, you're probably not watching my show at this point if you didn't believe that. But it's true. As far as I feel it certainly is.
What do you think's next for you?
they're telling me expanding my horizon. I'm going to have to do it quickly. I just had another birthday, okay? So, but yes, I want to, well, definitely I'm concentrating my art on clothing because I really feel very strongly about that. The continuation of this show, maybe going out, which we had talked about before, to a broader maybe audience personally. I feel that if I don't do it now, when? That's what they're saying to me. So I feel that I'm going to expand the show with everything that's happening here together. And I feel that for you guys too, not just my show, but other shows are not just going to be here. They're going to be, which I know you have talked about, out on the road. But you're going to get so many opportunities within the next coming year, actually, some in this part of the end of the year, but more in the coming year, that's going to take you more outside of being here. Remember I said that. I think that's very important. But because I'm telling you this too, and it's coming to me, I feel the same for myself. So I can only interpret that as it's here because I'm here. So follow your gut. Follow, prioritize. If it looks like a good thing, find out about it. Even if you guys discuss, well, I don't know, and you might say something else, still follow it and see what happens.
I like the appreciation of having the opportunity to. She says about me going to see the Met game on Thursday. I've never been to a playoff game. I've never been to the stadium. I've never taken this opportunity. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go do it. But it's all the other things about meeting different people, meeting Erica, meeting Jay, meeting the artists in here, meeting the producers and seeing what they do. I've learned how to appreciate the things that have come my way. And I've had plenty of opportunities in my life. I could write books about all the jobs and everything I've had, but I never really appreciated all the different things that I had. And I think I am
that's
now.
why it's more meaningful to you now. And the opportunities have always been there, as you know, because you have done quite a lot of things, Freddie. But the more you open up to it, I'm going to say the opportunities were there, but you're going to recognize. If it's like someone sitting, yes, your home is here, and they come in through the door. That does happen here, and we've seen that. But once you make that step outside too and do things that maybe you weren't as familiar with doing, it will work for you because you have a broader horizon of people around you. And the people that you talk to, and we'll talk about this later on, maybe next year, you'll say, had I have not done that to the person, we wouldn't have met.
Right.
So that's so important. And the more you open your mind to that, because it's vibrational energy, and they call it the law of attraction, or whatever you want to call it, it doesn't matter, you'll find that it'll just happen automatically because you'll be in they're telling me so strongly to say this, you will be in the right place at the right time to meet the right people that will exactly what you're thinking. It'll be that validation. Oh my gosh, how did we ever even meet?
And
Because you made that first step into going out into an arena, actually, they're telling me.
I also feel that people today in today's society are in a big hurry for everything to happen. And I think that things happen in their own time. You can't make things happen. You can cause things to happen, yes.
Right.
Yes. But if you're, some things I think you have to wait on.
And it's not criticizing you, because I've felt that way for many years, but and most people do. But I truly, just to let you know whether I'm right or wrong, you actually can make things happen. And it may not be the way that we see that, me saying that, but the more you begin to understand that, we can materialize an awful lot of things. So if you go with that mindset, whether you believe it, and I'm not to disregard what you said, I totally understand that. But if your mindset is, it's already happened even, people, and I'm not the only one saying this, you're following, act as if it's already happened, even if it hasn't. You will find that whatever you're thinking about will, not in every case, but be open to the idea that what you're thinking about already happened. So I was bound to meet you, type of thing. We've already met. And you'll see what will happen. It's incredible.
That's
and
a
I've
good-
been
good
told
point.
that many
I like that.
times. And I used to be in sales, and they'd tell me, visualize the sale. And it's everything that I didn't want to do then. But when I started to do that, not even understanding it, I stayed in a business for many years because I was selling, which had I have not and listened to myself, who didn't want to listen to all these things they said, I wouldn't have sold the way that I did. You have to believe in what you're selling.
of course,
I
absolutely.
totally believed in it. Same as
Yeah.
here.
Well, you
If I
have to
didn't-
believe in yourself.
Exactly. I could be saying all this and do something totally different. That's not going to help me.
Right.
It's the interior they're telling me. They're really working with me today, not the exterior of what is around you. As long as you believe it, it'll be there in your exterior. That's not me talking. How are we doing?
Well, I think we're ready to wrap this up.
Okay, great. And see you guys, everybody that's listening, tell your friends, share the video, buy my book, wait for my art to come out, and I will be here this time next week on the show. I was out a little while. I had COVID. I've completely recovered. Little cough, no big deal. A little rash, no big deal, but I'm fine. Bye-bye.
You have been watching Call Me Zena with your host, Sally Barnard. As an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer, know that you can always seek me out for resources by visiting artbysallybarnard.com. Join us next week, Mondays at 2:30. Have a